Welcome to my American History Notes, where I draw conclusions from my study of American history, reading trusted historians, the primary sources that they present that I can get access to. Sometimes things are in collections you have to pay for, but most stuff is available free on the internet. Um, and you have to kind of research the source to make sure it's legit. But you may not agree with my conclusions, any of my conclusions, but you should at least know about the topics that I'm discussing, the people, events, and places. And this is a survey. It's not really deep, deep. I mean, there's lots of things about each of these fascinating events and people that you can go much deeper. So I want you to understand if you just have the average person needs to be conversant in American history. There's a lot of trash out there on both right and left. This happened, that happened, this was coloring things a certain way. You need to come up with your own conclusions, do your own study, and remember primary sources, letters, journals, laws, newspaper articles, things like that are much better than somebody else's opinion who has a political agenda to put forward. And this is the left and the right. So I'm not, I'm just want you to think about American history. So today I'm going to start. The War of Texan Independence occurred when Texas settlers, many of whom were slave owners, revolted against the government of Mexico, which had abolished slavery. Slavery, however, was not the only issue, but reports of the day make it a major one, especially for transplanted Southerners in Texas. From February 23rd to March 6, 1836, General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, president of Mexico, with a force of 3,000 soldiers, laid siege to 188 Texans in the Alamo, San Antonio. Losing more than half his force, Santa Anna finally took the Alamo, killing Texans and Americans who were defending it, including Davy Crockett. Um, Daniel Boone did not die at the Alamo. Okay, so some people have that weird idea. Um, the final hours of the fight are in much dispute due to recent discoveries of a diary by a Mexican officer, which did not paint the same heroic picture of Crockett's death that John Wayne did in that movie, The Alamo, and various stories and legends. On March the 2nd, 1836, Texas proclaimed itself a republic, and then the Mexicans massacred 300 Texans defending Goliad. The Battle of San Jacinto resulted, however, in an amazing victory for the Texans and the capture of Santa Anna, who then recognized the Texan Republic. The Empire of Mexico was shrinking not long after it gained its independence from Spain. It would shrink even more as the Empire of the United States grew. Unfortunately, Jackson did not honor the terms of the treaties he had made with the Indians living on the United States territories. And during his administration, many were removed to Indian Territory, which is now Oklahoma. You can study the Indian Removal Act, and there are many very good books on what was called the Trail of Tears, as many Indians and black slaves owned by Indians were forcibly removed from their ancestral homes. When his friend from Tennessee, Sam Houston, had achieved an impossible victory over the Imperial Army of Mexican President Santa Anna and captured him, winning independence for Texas in 1836, Jackson hesitated to honor Texas' request. His concern was over the Northern opposition to another union. He, a slave owner himself, acknowledged Texas independence on the last day of his presidency, setting the stage for future annexation in the war with Mexico, which was understood by the historians of the time to have been fought over the desire to extend slavery west for the great slave owning and wealthy elite of the southern states. Although Jackson did not join the Presbyterian Church until late in life, he was deeply affected by religion and faith. He was not taken with the Calvinism of that church and tended to have more Arminian beliefs, placing emphasis more on man's choice than God's election. Still, he was known to read his Bible every day and conducted prayer services in the evening, at least when he was in retirement. Jackson turned over the reins of his presidency to Martin Van Buren and returned to the Hermitage to retire. He turned on Van Buren and helped James Polk get elected, denying Van Buren a second term because Van Buren did not want Texas to be annexed. Finally, he died in 1845, gathering his household, white and black, around him, saying, quote, I hope to see you all in heaven, both white and black, both white and black. Remini reports this statement after receiving the Lord's Supper for the last time as, quote, when I have suffered sufficiently, the Lord will then take me to himself. But what are all my suffering compared to those of the blessed Savior who died upon that cursed tree for me? Mine are nothing. He had many faults, but was one of our more important presidents and made the presidency stronger than it had been in the past. He could have been a king, some said, if he wanted. Upon his first inauguration, he had declared that the White House was now the people's house and open to all without distinction. Thousands of people headed to the White House to see it and tour it. No one had prepared for such a public onslaught. Glass was shattered, furniture was broken, and there was no way you could prepare enough food to satisfy the crowds that wanted to see the presidential mansion. People even stole whatever they could stuff in their pockets. Of course, over time, this was worked out and the initial rush of people abated. Since Rachel Jackson died of a heart attack before she could move to D.C. to be her husband's hostess, he had the help of his niece, Emily Donaldson, for a time. But then she died at the young age of 28, and Martin Van Buren's daughter-in-law, Angela, helped some. So we'll stop there and we'll begin with Martin Van Buren next. If I misstated something or misstatement of fact, let me know. And like I say, you don't have to agree with my conclusions, but you need to know about these people if you're going to be conversant in American history. Come on.